This is at Trustworthy Slav.
This is at Incognito, COH.
CRK, Black Dot Compilled.
This is the Fed Post.
Long-winded, but yeah. Dude, I know where you're going, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of that Nazi flag at the Bernie rally. That was like the first thing I thought of when I saw this thing, and like, yeah, I mean, like it's probably not even worth the breath on this, but like, yeah, it's just, yeah. One, I don't care, and two, this is lib individualist mentality of just isolating individuals. Again, I keep saying about everything. Like people focus too much on individuals. They focus too much on like minor details of like individual crimes and trials and people's old N-word tweets and political gaffes and all this fucking shit that is just losing the forest for the fucking trees. Hyper focus on Trump and what he says, what he does, whatever. People are missing the thing underneath it all, like the current underneath it all. That's what I care about. You got to zoom the fuck out. You got to like this. It's lib brain. It's lib like capitalist brain. Like it's just hyper focused on like this one fucking guy. I don't give a fuck about this guy. I don't give a fuck about any of these people, these individual characters. Like, you know, like this is, I don't know what it is about people that are wired like that. I don't get it, but like it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You gotta focus on the bigger fucking.
Well, and you
thing.
want to talk about hyper capitalist brain individualist fucking shit. I'm watching these fucking interviews with like counter protesters up in Ottawa, and the whole talking point everybody has of like it makes my blood boil whenever I hear Libs say the fucking consequences talking point. But they're like, there's consequences for your actions. They're not being forced to do this. They chose to do it, and there's consequences for your actions. And it's like, I love that whole like, yeah, man, it's like there's not coercion, right? It's just market forces, man. Like you just didn't want to do one of the things that's a requirement of your job. And, you know, right. It's just a normal, natural consequence of your actions.
Market forces.
Oh, my God. Oh,
I hate that. Yeah. I mean, that shit, again, it's build your own society shit. It's
yeah, exactly. It reminds me of all the fucking retards that would say the whole thing of like, freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequence, obviously. And it's like, right. I cannot fucking stand that, dude. I cannot fucking stand that, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, what are you talking about monopolies on social media, dude? What are you talking about heavily centralized authorities? Like, what are you talking about these social technologies and just this high level of propaganda? It's like thinking that and then also like being super concerned about misinformation. Like I love dude.
What market forces like? It's like the libs I know aren't even really in favor of vax mandates. They like vaccines and all that shit. They believe all that shit. They're scared of COVID. They're not even like wholeheartedly for the vax mandates. So what free market? Like what? Again, the whole notion of a free market is a joke. But like, what market for what? Like what? It's like it's insinuating that it's popular.
You know, it's funny. It's funny you're saying that, dude, because like I actually like I really do know very, very, very few people. Maybe two that are actually like genuinely in favor of like a wide mandate. And I remember like in the beginning of all this, that was kind of like the whole thing was just being like, listen, like you should get the vaccine. You know, I'm obviously not in support of a mandate. Yeah. But you know, like it's bad to be anti-vax. And look at one of my favorite. I mean, it's just the whole thing of like, no, that's like kind of one of the good parts about liberalism, right? Is that like they're like still baked into like the software everybody's running is this kind of like you still can't really throw out individual autonomy. As we can see, you know, you shuffle the cards around and you get people to sign off on that pretty easily, which is a weakness. But like one of my favorite things that kind of speaks to this point is that like the talking points you always hear against anti-vaxxers, at least I see like in normie circles, is people being like, hey man, like you want to get the vaccine, you don't want to get the vaccine, like that's up to you, but like stop like getting in people's faces and telling them they're pieces of shit for getting the vaccine. And it's like that describes like
That's literally the opposite.
Exactly,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
and so it's but the nice thing is the subtext of that is whenever I read that, it's like, all right, like the wind is blowing against them, like they have the uphill case to make.
Yeah, I mean, even all the people that I know that are always talking about, oh, my stupid unvaccinated relatives that I had to go spend Christmas with, or whatever bullshit that people are talking about. I don't hear them ever talking about, man, I really wish the Supreme Court would have upheld that mask mandate. I don't really ever hear them talking about, like, we need to force those people. Like, that's something that's always very, like, strayed away from. It's just like, these people just should get it because it's the right thing to do. I think most people are against forcing people to do anything, really, like at the root of it, at least most Americans.
Well, I think I think this is where, like, leftists, like online crypto Democrats come in, where like their whole thing is to just like have the garish, wacky funhouse mirror version of like basic DNC talking points. And so, yeah, like it's the Vouches and the Hassans of the world's job to say like, oh, I want to shoot people with blow darts, and like, oh, I want, this just psychotic shit that they're all into. But the nice thing is like those people scare their boomer parents that actually vote and actually have like some meaningful level of control over the Democrat Party. So, I mean, as long as it stays with them, I don't think most people that are actually worthy of note are going to be in favor of this kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's interesting, man. It's interesting to think about because you just assume that libs are in favor of it, but I don't really know too many. Yeah, I really don't. But yeah, I mean, whatever about that. I mean, yeah, it's just, it's funny in general. I mean, like, it's not about hypocrisy. It's more like what you were saying, Slav, like realignment. Like, it's just funny, the leftists, the Marxists are anti-labor. The libs are pro-war. They're like neocons now. And, the right is like revolutionaries. Like, everything is all fucking twisted up and weird. But that's, it's not about like, inconsistencies or whatever. It's like what you said. It's like, whose interests are where. It's really that simple. I mean, that's worth thinking about. And in general, I don't think that the left should be associated with like class war, class conflict mindset. I don't think they should be associated with it anymore. I don't understand it. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that they're supposed to be, but in every sense of like practice, the left has nothing to do with anti-capitalism. They have nothing to do with fucking labor or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's something that should be dislodged because it's not me dislodging it. It's them dislodging it, right? Like, they have nothing to do with that shit anymore. So why are they still considered that? But that's all just, about rhetoric and the way people talk about things. So labels and all that. But I don't know. I feel like they shouldn't be associated with it.
I don't know either. It's funny. We were talking about how we're not going to spend this whole episode talking about the Ottawa stuff, but we kind of have. It's just such a big part of what's going on.
Yeah, it's hard not to talk about it. I was thinking one way we could tie that into something else was in regards to, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but with the GoFundMe thing, how they seized their funds, and also how like Robinhood and Webull and all that shit during the Wall Street Bets whole fiasco. They froze accounts. They seized people's funds. They didn't allow trades to go through until prices fell, and then people were left holding a bag in the height of it in order to protect their corporate interest. And then also we have, Twitter and Facebook moving in lockstep to ban dissidents and to ban any quote-unquote misinformation. And it really just kind of heightens the fact that, these digital platforms are pretty much fucking us much worse than they're helping us. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to really help decentralize anything. They're really just going to kind of put it more under control. And it's looking like that's just kind of a pattern we're seeing. And so it brings up a question of like, what what do you do, right? Like what types of ways could you support a dissident movement or get a dissident message out there? What are solutions? Like, should we try to get off of these platforms and use alternative routes? Should we try to push to build alternative routes? Is, using stuff on the internet and digital, platforms, is that just completely out of the window as far as viability goes for political projects or dissident movements at all? Because I know that's something that SLAV, you talked about a few episodes back, was like, if you were saying if you were ever going to start like a political movement or something, you would do it off the internet. And that's like, I feel like that's really the only way that you can really have any real material effect is by building coalitions off of the internet and doing stuff in real tangible life. And that makes me question, like, does that extend into modes of communication need to be off of that as well? Like, is the digitization of the world that we're kind of just running headfirst into, is that something that is completely going to doom us? Is there any type of viability in there for us to try to create alternatives, or is it something that we need to try to like stave off at all costs? Like,
oh man,
I know that's not anything any of us have any real actual answers on, but just as some food for thought,
Absolutely,
it's a tough one. I mean, the fact that we know each other is through the internet. The fact that we do the show is through the internet. That people that listen to us is through the internet. So it's hard for me to feel too much in dismissing the medium. I feel like there's potential in it, but I mean, I guess it's what everybody says, like potential for good. But
I think
they're consolidating things.
And I don't want to like. To me, I don't think that this is poo-pooing what we're doing, but I just want to articulate that it's not. I don't mean to poo-poo what we're doing, but I almost see what we're doing to almost be like more therapeutic for people, where because you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. We get the messages of people being like, hey, you guys are the only fucking people that I know that are saying this shit. And just like hearing another fucking person say this shit while the entire fucking world is losing their fucking minds is really helpful for me. And I know that it's been helpful for me. And, I don't want to act like I'm some fucking lifesaver, like podcaster, essential worker or anything like that. Like I don't have an ego about, I don't think any of us do. Right. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how viable a Fed Post party is going to be.
Well, of course. I mean? Yeah. I mean, something like that, it's not even really at all the question.
I think we're maybe just, fending people. We are early treatment against black pills. I could see, but
just kind of like the function of the voice in the void.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I mean, like a real political movement obviously is going to have legs in the real world.
I think you're gonna need just like a lot of networking, like just like knowing a lot of having a lot of fucking friends spread out across different cities, and like and having, I don't know, like just the good old just like feet on the pavement kind of shit. But again, I mean, this is kind of easy shit to say.
But like, I think so. Like, as far as the truckers thing goes, right? If you wanted to have something like that, where you were like, all right, we're going to have a bunch of people who are going to go to Ottawa. They're going to roadblock these roads. They're going to kind of lay siege to the city in a way and disrupt everything. But that also means these people are going to need pay for the time that they're not working. They're going to need supplies while they're there because they're in the city. They're going to run out pretty quick, right? And you're going to need to be able to get some sort of supplies to them, some sort of money to them in order to purchase things. So like, obviously, what do you think to do first? Oh, well, let's set up a GoFundMe to send these people money so they can have pay while they're off their jobs doing this thing that we support. And that, obviously didn't work. So like, how would you even go about doing something like that? Like for something that's like a movement like a truckers convoy or even something like that, not like just trying to start an arbitrary, what if we did the Fed Post political party, but just like actual tangible movements. Like, do political movements as a whole, do we think maybe they need to try to build their own alternatives specifically for them to use on the internet, as far as like there needs to be a dissident money transfer service? Or is that even like not an option? Like, because it would be just basically like how Parler turned out, right? Like, oh, you need to make our own social media, but then nothing's ever going to host it, right? So like, what what even could be done there?
Hello, fellow dissidents. Give us all of your fucking personal information, and then we will do nothing to actually protect it.
Exactly.
Someone will just like a mild gust of wind will just knock our servers over and spill all your data out.
Yeah.
That's also how I understand. What was that?
That's an obvious honeypot.
Yeah, totally. Like something like that that's actually not all complete fucking bullshit. I don't know though. I mean, because again, then that comes down to just like, you know, who's hosting these fucking servers in the first place, right? Like the, you know, we're talking about like, you know, these crowdfunding sources. They're actually like we can see that, like, you know, there is the issue of centralization because they're acting this way, and it's like, well, all right. I mean, I'm going to stop you there too. Like the crowdfunding site, just by virtue of what it is centralization. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, it's a non-starter in the first place. Like if, and again, dude, like, yeah, you can start up your fucking, you can start up your right-wing, fucking BoomerCon, alternative. Right?
Western Union app.
Yeah. And then, you know, like whatever the fucking like GOP cucks are believing fucking 5 years from now will be shit. You know, the argument against that will be fucking censored off those fucking sites.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, come on, dude. Like,
do we revert back to like smoke signals and carrier pigeons?
Dude, I've been training carrier pigeons. That's what I got, dude.
Based.
Little talking about little scrolls of paper, dude.
Invisible ink.
The revolution won't be televised, but it will be coordinated via little rolls of paper on little birds.
And covered in pigeon shit.
Dude, so much fucking pigeon shit, dude. We're all gonna have, dude, all the revolutionaries will be hopped up on like toxoplasmosis.
Yeah. I don't know. That's just something that I've been like trying to work my brain around. I'm like, oh, wow, this is like a significant moment that's happening. But like, you know, trying to use all the same old mediums that we always use for everything else, obviously, like, is that a viable way to support it? And I know that's not a question that we can answer really. And if there is an answer, it's probably just like no, right? Like these people have a pretty strong control over internet servers and digital modes of communication. So that's just kind of like a black pill. But that's just something I've just been chewing on recently, because it's like, is there an alternative to just running headfirst into this? And how do we even put up safeguards? Or is it just one of these things kind of like we were talking about with the education system with Bennett last, where it's like, yeah, I mean, you can try to do one little thing at a time, but like ultimately this is just like a huge mass of technology that benefits the capitalist class, and that's just what it's always going to be until it's in the hands of some other people. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for some reason, this is an age-old problem. I mean, it's a big problem, big question. How do you avoid, you know, the honeypot? The you know, what level of real-world, you know, organizing can you do that's not a fucking literal Fed post? That's an age-old problem. And I don't really know. I am against the notion that it's all Fed posting, it's all honeypots. I'm against that because I think that's blackpilling in itself, and I think the alternative is to vote, basically. You know, so that's why I'm against that, because just out of desperation, really. I don't think we should foster that mentality that anybody doing anything outside of any organizing at all is automatically a Fed. I don't like that meme. I don't like that joke. I mean, I get it, and like it's funny, and like I understand it's a real thing, but at the same time, like all that does in my mind, all it does is build complacency. Like the strategy and the discourse can't just forever be stuck in that first hour after you just got done reading about COINTELPRO for the first time. Like, yeah, that happened and it's like a real thing, but like you can't just, you know, completely call off any forms of like organizing and everything because of that, you know? Yeah. I think a lot of this shit is just like people being overly cultured, you know? Yeah. And no one wants to look like a fool. No one wants to embarrass themselves. Oh, that's the worst thing you can do. Yeah, no one wants to look like, oh, I was trying and I failed, or I tried and like it's cringe or whatever. No one wants to risk that. It's so much easier just to like do the dirt bag or the racist anon thing of just like, I don't care. I don't even care. You know what I mean? I'm laughing. I'm troll face laughing through it all. So
yeah, dude, who even cares now? Actually, Biden's kind of based now that we're a few months in.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's worth thinking about. It's definitely worth thinking about. And yeah, whatever leans on the other way of blackpilling, because just to dismiss all other alternatives seems like blackpilled. Seems I'm probably more optimistic of the good sides of the internet or the utility of the internet than maybe you are. But
yeah, I mean, I feel like obviously there's a shitload of utility to the internet or to like globalized communication or instantaneous communication or internet as far as like an information source that, you know, you like, obviously you don't want to like do away with the internet and be like, all right, everyone forget that even happened, because first of all, people aren't going to forget about it and they're just going to be constantly trying to make the internet again, even if you do away with it, because it's like, it's such a vast resource of information, communication, everything like that. But to me, it's just like, I don't know. There's got to be some sort of focus among dissidents on a way to carve out safe channels and avenues in the digital world, especially as we go further into it with, you know, metaverse and with everyone working from home and learning from home. And, you know, everything's going to be moved to that. I've been watching sports on TV and I see on TV commercials on cable, and they're like 4 out of 10 of them are people playing VR and advertising VR games and various different shit. People just sitting in a chair. I saw one and it was an ad and it was 2 neighbors playing VR against each other. And like, they're like best friends. They're like on VR. They're always talking to each other, working as a team or whatever, in whatever fucking game they're playing. And then one of them does something and they both start cheering. And then they hear each other through the wall. So they start banging on the wall, yelling at each other to shut the fuck up. And then they both go back to their game, talking to each other about, man, I really hate my neighbor. And then it's just like, oh, well, you have community through this VR shit. When in reality, it's just keeping them from seeing their neighbor. So anyways, I'm seeing all this and it's like, of course, we're heading in a direction where everything is going to be pretty much completely done in a digital space. And it's just what it just makes me wonder, in such a world, how is there any room for dissident? Anything, you know?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the trucker thing, and it's spreading around the world, if there is any spread, or just these like anti-vax protests, anti-vax passport protests. The internet is a big engine for that. I mean,
Sure,
like the
certainly.
spread, Arab Spring, same thing, like Yellow Vest, like it's how that it's the grease in the wheel. But I get what you mean. I mean,
maybe as like a communication source, it's good. Like kind of like what SLAV was saying about how the function that we serve is more of a like consultants in a way, you know, just kind of like being a support voice in a way, something that you can just kind of relate with. And then there's not a lot of material viability to that necessarily as far as like carrying any weight. Like it's just a communicative purpose. And it makes me wonder if that's like the only utility that you can really have as far as for a political project through these spaces.
Well, I think it can't be understated because, and like I've said before, I mean, one of the biggest tools they have is to make people feel like they're crazy or fringe. And then if you feel like, damn, I kind of want to like, you know, block a highway with my truck. Maybe if you feel like, oh, fuck, like no one's going to want to do that. They're all going to accuse me of being fed posting or accuse me of being a federal agent, you know, and then you're just going to like keep it to yourself and not do it. And just maybe just convince yourself that all this crazy shit makes sense. So I just want to I don't want to understate that because I think that's an important thing of people seeing somebody else and being like, yo, these people across the globe feel the way I feel and they're doing something. And I think that's more than therapeutic. I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about just in general, seeing that shit in general. I think I think it's important. I think it is important. I think it's more than just like making yourself feel better. It's like, yo, I'm not crazy. Like there's a lot of value in that. Because I mean, shit. I used to think I was crazy.
I think. I mean, you're saying though, like it's like I don't know that. Like, I mean, that is just like making yourself feel better though. But I think that just like maybe, you know, something something having the value of just making you feel better, like maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe that's like really helpful, you know, like keep morale high and shit like that.
What action would you take if you were convinced you were crazy?
That's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying, right? Is that like that? I mean, we're basically talking about the value of propaganda too, and like it's very useful. It's very important for any kind of effort like this. No, I agree with you. I think that when we're talking about it, like I don't think it necessarily has to be a really negative thing to be like, well, it's just like helping people feel better about the situation. It's like, well, that's good. Like it's fighting off black pills, and black pills are bad, dude. And maybe that's not like, you know, fucking toppling the regime and planting your flag. But like it's helping in some small way, and that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know as far as alternatives. I feel like I'm not tech savvy enough to really know, but maybe I'm optimistic. I'm generally optimistic. I think people will figure, you know, the mother of invention. You know what I mean? Like I think the necessity will bring something out. I think something will form. Some channels will form, and you know, these things are periodic. You know, you have a new medium. The internet's still relatively new, right? Yeah. So you have a new medium, and you know we're still wading our way through it. And things are initially decentralized, and it's a Wild West, and then they start consolidating things and organizing things and centralizing things, and then there'll be another phase of people finding ways around that and building different channels through that, and then they'll shut that down. It's always going to be a push and pull. I think it's cyclical. So you know, I'm optimistic that some alternative ways will come out, but it might be within the internet. It might still be within the same medium. I mean, you know what I mean?
I feel like it would be almost has to be because it's really inescapable now.
Yeah.
And like you can't just turn back the clock of quote unquote progress, especially not technological progress, especially when people have gotten so used to it. It's just a matter of like how do you navigate that going forward.
And one of our old hosts on this show would talk about shortwave radio. If you remember. So,
yeah, I do remember
like there's
that.
something to that. I mean, it's true. I mean, there's something to that. Like what you're saying, like you kind of want, you know, what did Bennett say? Diversity of tactics. You kind of want, you need some channels in the real world as well.
I really liked his response on this topic. Like the diversity of tactics thing was a very good. I don't know. That was the best response I've heard about this.
Yeah, I'll give him that because I disagree with him, but I will give that's definitely the best answer I've heard for sure. It's compelling.
I don't know if I'm totally sold on the everybody go live on a fucking farm and have a shortwave radio, but
I mean, shit, if you can afford to do it, fuck, why not?
Dude, I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to live on a farm right now, but I also just don't know if I'm not a fucking teenager. Like, I don't know if I can switch my basic constitution into being like a farmhand.
Your body's like, what are we doing, bro?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be real with myself about that one.
Yeah. It's just when they say build your own society, my general inclination is to be, no, fuck you. No.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? But
for me, it's like, with what money, dude? Build my own society with what capital, with what resources? What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, that's why libertarians say that shit. Not to like diss a bunch of libertarians, but like that's because they're from wealth usually, and they're just like, I'm good on my own, so fuck you, fuck all you guys. Like I'm gonna build my own society because I literally can. I can build a micro community or whatever. But again, this stuff is not applicable to the average person. It's not because they can't afford to do these things. It's like what you were bringing up before. Like, yeah, what the fuck, man? Like, you know, it sounds nice, but what can people really do? And that's where a lot of like stuff on the internet gets kind of LARPy and kind of detached from like people's everyday situation. But he still made it. I mean, I say all that, but I still think he made a compelling argument, and I could totally understand somebody doing that if they can.
Yeah, I agree with diversity of tactics. I just don't think like anything like that is ever a blanket solution, and that's obviously not what he's saying, because hence diversity of tactics. But like, taking that as like everyone needs to homestead or everyone needs to homeschool. That's just like, obviously not everyone can, right? Because then what do you do with the vast swaths of people living in urban centers, or people that work multiple jobs and don't have the time to homeschool, you know, that kind of thing. Like, you need to have a society that allows for individual freedom and for people to, live their own individual lives as best as they can. Because like as a person, you're going to be looking out for number one, like just naturally, right? Like you're going to have an instinctual drive to stay alive, to look out for yourself, to tend to your material needs. So I think like overall, you need to have a society or a system, a government in place that looks out for the needs of the whole, because everyone's already going to be looking out for themselves. You know what I mean? And so any type of individualist framing on that, that's kind of like where we're at already.
Yeah. Yep.
Bro, like it's like go move to a farm, all of that shit. It's like, motherfucker, I don't live on a farm. I live here.
Yeah,
leave me alone. Just leave me alone. Just let me have my fucking life, motherfucker. Like, how about that?
Yeah, man. Honestly, it's so simple that I it's forgotten to be said. But yo, bro, like I live, my family's here, my friends here, my life is here. Like I can't just go cottage build because like I saw some cool trad meme. You know what I mean? Like it's I don't know. It's a simple answer, but it's real, and it doesn't even matter how we personally feel about it. That's how a lot of people feel about it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like that's just. But yeah, I mean, yeah. As far as like other things before we wrap, I was like, okay, there's a few things I was thinking of because now you're reminding me of the Bennett conversation, and there is something I kind of wanted to ask you guys. Well, him too, but we had to leave about the women working thing. But that's like a. I have a feeling we'll get into a semantics debate there, but there's that, and there's. I
have a feeling we're going to get into a semantics debate there. That's classic.
Wait, are we going to talk about women working right now?
No. Look, I don't even want to start into it because I know it's going to turn into a thing. Of course
you don't. You coward.
Okay. Okay, let's
fucking with you.
No. I'm just going to lay out like some things, some like topics, and see what you guys want to run with. But But there's that. I think one thing that we should definitely talk about is the Whoopi thing. I think we gotta talk about that.
Dude, queen, dude. Fed Post queen. Lady Hotep.
Come on the show,
let's
Whoopi.
go, dude.
What'd you say, COH?
What did Whoopi say, bro? I don't know anything
she said she's a patron of the Fed Post on the video.
No shit.
Nah, dude. That's not right. No,
she just asked questions. She's why is there wood doors on the camps like this?
Dude, she said I have a friend, his name I'm not going to say his name. Dude, I have a friend, and his friend, he went to Auschwitz, and he actually went and he looked at the ovens, bro. They're way too small, dude. They're way too small.
Oh, my God, man.
She talked about, man, too much? I don't know. She was talking about, like, the Holocaust wasn't about race because Jews are white. I mean, that's like all she said, right? That's basically it.
It was a big nothing. It was a big. The level of controversy didn't match the thing, but when you talk about a certain demographic, sometimes certain issues get disproportionately blown up for some reason.
About them.
Why do you say it that way?
I don't even talk like this. Why do you say it
that way? Bro, it's like I think. I don't know. Maybe this is to all the epic leftoids listening. Maybe this will be like a SLAV outing himself moment or something. But like, have none of us really ever had the debate with people of whether or not Jews are counted as whites? Like if you meet a Jewish person, like 90% of the time, you just like, oh, like I didn't even know you were Jewish. I thought you were just a normal white person. Is that really that unreasonable of a thing? And also, again, if like all these 4chaners that are putting up these signs going like it's okay to be white, and then everybody's having these meltdowns saying like, well, no one was ever saying it wasn't. Then like, what's wrong with her thinking that they're white? Is there something wrong with being white?
Whoa. This is the thing, man. When I was growing up, I was around white people that were not Jewish, and I was around Jewish people, and I did not know there was a fucking difference. I did not fucking know. I was like, you guys are all white to me. You know what I mean? The Hotep pill, like but this is the thing, is like
also my Mayo ass could literally convert tomorrow. So come on.
Bro. I mean, I think like when like the Hotep equivalent and the Wignat parallel is like the Hotep's view whites is like the cabal running the world. Yeah. And for Wignats, that same cabal is the same. It looks pretty much the same. The only thing is the asterisk of they're Jewish. You know what I mean? It's like the same dynamic of like who runs the world and who's got their evil fingers on everything. But I honestly thought it was the same. And I feel like Wignats get mad whenever I say that, but I don't mean it as like a slight, because I don't hate white people for one, and I don't hate Jewish people, so it doesn't matter to me. It's just, but honestly, I always mix
you
that
don't hate white people. You got a citation for that one, buddy?
Yeah.
You got a source on that?
Yeah. But I don't know why she's in trouble for it. I don't get it. But well, we know why. But
well, I mean, first of all,
for it.
The real Jews are black, so jot that down.
Hey, there we
there
go.
It is.
There we go. Check the scripture. Check that shit. Well, yeah, I mean, she got 2 weeks suspension off The View. People were pretty upset about it. I think my take of it is that the libs have ascribe magical properties to race and magical properties to, well, everybody does. Leftists and right wingers and libs all do this. They view race as some magical thing, and that's why racism also by connection has to have magical properties. So you can't just say what she said, which is like, oh, it's man's inhumanity of man, which is like technically fucking true. It's a platitude. It's basically a fucking platitude. And then you have to say, no, that's not good enough. You got to use the R word, racism.
Well, specifically, you need to say it's about white
properties.
supremacy.
Right.
Which again is like this imperialist like myth making where like none of us. I mean, like if we want to like buy into like the definition they have, this weird like kind of like power that warlocks draw their energy from of white supremacy, right? Like I wasn't taught about the Holocaust in school when I was young in a way that mentioned the concept of white supremacy at all, right? It's about tailor making it to fit with the current regime and the current ideology. And yeah, I mean, it's all one thing. It's all one thing. And yeah,
I mean, it technically was white supremacy.
Yeah, it's like some Aryan shit.
Yeah, I mean, it technically was. I mean, they hated other white people that were.
What I'm saying is white supremacy doesn't fucking mean anything, dude. It's yeah. I mean,
it's a buzzword. It's a buzzword. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, it's used as a buzzword. Yeah.
I mean, and like again, like having like the Aryan race. Like they were killing other white people, dude. Like it's zoomed in further than just white supremacy.
Yeah, than just color.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, come on, man. It wasn't white. Right, yeah. It wasn't white supremacy. White supremacy isn't even a fucking real. I mean, it is, but like, I don't think anyone's actually talked about white supremacy in an actual real way in like the past fucking 4 years.
I mean, it's an oversimplification. It's a reduction.
Exactly.
They hated these other white European people that weren't pure Germans like them. Pure fucking Hitler's not blonde and blue eyed. Like, there's just a lot of funny working with fucking Japanese people. Like, there's a lot of like funny things going on with the whole thing. So yeah, it's like obviously an oversimplification. But again, she said a platitude basically and got checked pretty quick. She apologized. She did like a half apology, and then they still suspended her, and then she was pissed about being suspended.
That's what you get for being on a fucking View, bro.
Yeah, I mean, you get what you deserve. But like,
oh yeah.
Well, you gotta. I will say though, my favorite aspect of this, outside of it just being like, fucking Whoopi Goldberg, absolute slug on just the fucking cartoon madhouse that is The View. But beyond that, like. In like the race war, culture war Olympics, Jews versus blacks is like one of my favorite story arcs.
It's almost like the gays versus trans.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, with gays versus trans, I definitely have a more confident position, like what side I'm falling on. I can't really say that I have much of a horse in the race versus Jews versus blacks. I'm just like happy to watch because I think it's the funniest thing in the world.
You're just happy to not be involved.
Yeah, I mean, like
spectator.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's like if you have this, and I'm obviously talking in a really hyperbolic way and all of that. I don't. If anybody doesn't want a fucking race war, it's me. You can quote me on that, right? We can sell merch that has that on it. But like, if you're gonna play this fucking game, then like, yeah, dude, fuck you, dude. Like, fuck you. Go down with the ship, you fucking motherfucker. Yeah, but at the end of the day, also, I don't want to oversell it. Like, this bitch got like a temporary suspension from The View. Like, this is hardly, you know, you know, the world should waking up to a new world tomorrow. you know, oh my God, this is the first day of the rest of my life. Honey, why? What happened? Whoopi Goldberg got a 1 week suspension from The View for saying that Jews are white.
She's going to sit in with Nick Cannon on the next week's episode of Wild 'N Out.
Oh, dude, I wish.
Goofy on. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
See, yeah, it was such a platitude that I didn't really get the undertone that I saw some right-wing people pointing this out that I completely missed. I didn't get the undertone of like Hoteps versus Jews and all that. I didn't pick up on that. I just thought it was such a platitude that like it didn't mean anything.
Well,
I would have glossed over this entirely if it wasn't a controversy.
Optics battle, it's
right.
It's what they're saying. I mean, like, you're literally correct. Like, it's nothing. It was nothing. But like in just like the how it's being in the spectacle of it, it is blacks versus Jews Hotepery. And that's like, I'm sorry.
Well, that she was thinking. Do you think she was thinking that? That's the question I wonder.
No,
like, I don't know.
No. Again, she was saying something that was like, I mean, that was my point of just being like, literally, who hasn't had the conversation of going like, are Jews white? Are Jews Middle Eastern? What even are they?
Right.
Are they Italian?
Yeah. Well, and obviously that's the real answer, is that Jews are Italian. But you know what I'm saying, and like that. Yeah, I was leading with that. But the funny junk food treat answer is that, you know, she's a Hotep queen. She's a Nubian queen. And
that's amazing.
And that actually she was our girl on the inside the entire time.
Right. Okay, because I saw someone like make a serious long post about how it's like she had intention with that, and I had to think twice about it. I was like, because I don't know shit about her really,
dude. This is all.
Shit, was there?
This is all a long con, dude. Fucking even in the days when she was fucking Guinan on Star Trek: The Next Generation, dude. There's that famous episode, dude, of her being like, dude, 6 million is just too high. Wait, that's not an actual episode. That's not an actual episode, for the record.
You know, somebody just searched over.
Somebody's gonna look. Patrick Stewart, like, I'm just asking questions.
Data. What were you gonna say, Sewage?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I don't know if there's any intentionality there, but maybe so. She was in the film industry for a long time, so she's got a lot of up close personal experience.
Well, I mean, like, I'm not saying this to be shitty or anything, but like, she literally changed her last name to Goldberg.
Oh my god! I didn't even think of that.
Wait, she changed her last name to that?
That's kind of fucking offensive in itself.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Stealing a little valor.
Yeah, her last name's Johnson, bro.
What?
That was her last name? Wow.
Why do you change it from something so?
You want to know the funniest thing? I'm the young Jamie of Fed Post. You want to know what her actual? No cheating. You want to know what her actual first name is?
No, I see it. Oh my god, it's Karen. What? Karen Johnson.
Hold on. This bitch is named Karen Johnson
with a C. Holy shit, man. Holy shit.
This is a black bitch with dreads who works in the entertainment industry who changed her name to Goldberg for expediency in her career.
Karen Elaine Johnson is now known as Whoopi Goldberg. Damn.
This is the first time I've thought that.
Fine.
What was that?
Whoopi Johnson would have been just fine.
I mean, who knows, man?
We might not know of her.
Yeah,
we might not know of her.
I mean, it's funny too, because it's kind of the opposite of like actual Jews, right? Like Larry King is Larry King because he didn't want to be
Kang. He's Larry King.
Dude, the name of this episode should be like Larry Kang Live. I feel like we've talked about it before, but like, I guess I was like looking online at like Bugman discussions, and I guess like the big black supervillain on that shitty Marvel Loki show was literally named Kang. And I just like, I know that's like the name of like a classic supervillain, but like that
right.
cracks me up, dude.
Who was Larry Kangz?
Larry Kang was, dude. Larry Kang with the kufi and the fucking Malcolm X glasses, and he's just like, it's just like him speaking at a child's birthday, just like telling them to be homophobic. Holy
my
shit,
God,
dude.
damn.
Yeah, dude. So Whoopi Goldberg. I mean, if this was like all things being equal, like to actually make the mistake of kind of taking this topic a little bit seriously, like it's bullshit for people to get fucking taken off of their fucking their show for saying something like that. Like that is bullshit, right? To like be consistent with my values, right? But I'm not a person that's consistent with my values with this kind of stuff, and so like fuck Whoopi Goldberg. You love to see it, and that's the real stance. But yeah, I mean, like it's. Am I going to kick off COH when he insists that Jewish people are white and that the Holocaust wasn't about race? No, of course not. We all know it's coming, but we're not going to do it.
That's the pivot. That's a new pivot.
I don't know, dude. That isn't even offensive, too, though.
Like, that's nothing. It's straight up nothing.
That doesn't even make any sense, dude. Like,
that's something that you might hear someone say and be like, "Yeah, I mean, semantics. I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
It's a shrug at best.
It's the opposite. I mean, it's like if you hear somebody say that, you go like, well, like, no, like I guess Jewish people aren't technically white, and like I guess it was based around age, right? But like this isn't really. It's not really the kind of thing you get mad about, though, right? Like that's weird. That's a weird response.
I think the serious take I get out of it is of something that's clearly a joke and a non-event is that race. I mean, there's another platitude I'm about to say, but race in America is so fucking loaded. Yes. And it's like what you said. This is the front line for psyops and the culture war or whatever. Race is perfect. It's like I always think about what COH said about Benito Mussolini. Shout out him of what he said about race being like the biggest Mussolini reference. Of race being like a gray area or whatever, and like just like an intangible or whatever is I mean, it's the perfect ground for fucking psyops. I mean, you could argue too that gender ideology is a good one because anything that's vague enough, perfect fucking ground. Anything like that where you can have, and look, I mean, some people might not believe that gender or race is a social construct. I get that. I understand why, but like to me it is, and to me it's the perfect ground for culture war and psyops because these are the things that people can debate themselves into a wormhole forever and just have a billion different perspectives. It's too subjective and just like get nowhere. I mean, look, man, I'm mixed and I don't like to pull that card or whatever, but like my whole life, like the conversations I've heard about race, like the thing of like, are Jews even a race? Are Jews white? What defines black? What defines white? Like who, all this stuff it's all a bunch of fucking gibberish to me. It's all nonsense. Like I've heard so many different contradicting things that, I mean, it's the reason why I think race science is just funny to me. Like it's hard to take it serious. I know some people like Keith and some people take it serious that we've interacted with and like, respect or whatever to some degree or whatever. But like, I don't know, man, the whole thing is it's just funny to me. It's just, but yeah, this controversy is just highlighting how these are the things that like, this is where the sausage is made. And that's why everything's so sensitive and everything's a landmine is like, just insane shit like this off.
Well, like, I think especially like whiteness, dude. Like, what is white, right? I think that even more than anything is like a particularly incoherent concept. I remember a while back, like Alex Kashuda had a point just being like, what even is whiteness, right? It doesn't even make any sense. And people on the right just fucking melting down on her about that.
Oh, really?
And I can understand when people are trying to make when people are kind of trying to make their point that like the biological basis of race in some ways has relevance. Like, I'm probably a little bit more open to that than you. I think at the end of the day, though, to be fair, I still and you know, I think people could probably get flustered with me about this as just saying that this is a dodge, but like, it's just not really high on my priorities, to be honest. And I think you could probably, you could call that a cop out, and you'd probably be right in some way. I mean, but it really just isn't. It just really isn't a priority for me.
With stuff like race and with gender, right? There's obviously a material basis, like in the base of what material is, matter. There is a basis for that, like genetics, right? You know, genes and such. So yeah, there's obviously a material basis for it, but then social constructs are tied into those, right? In order to use them rhetorically or graph them or, you know, better understand and organize them. So, you know, there is obviously a material root that, you know, if someone's genes are one way, they're going to look this way. They're going to present this way. Their body is going to form in these types of ways, right? But like when someone just says like white, right? Well, you don't know what the fuck they're talking about, because it could be any number of things. They might think the Cubans are white because they didn't vote, you know, with the rest of the Latinos, you know. So like, as far as rhetorical concepts, these things can mean anything. And while like they're like this gray area that like no one really like, we all kind of agree it's like, you know, there's not like a whole lot of relevance, I don't really think. But when it's used as a cudgel rhetorically, they become very solidified, right? And depending on who's using them, they put rigid lines to define it, which they can change any time just to throw, you know, one group in or out in order to benefit their narrative, right? So these kinds of things, like to sit around and be like, oh, well, like one's gender and one's race is completely a social construct. Well, no, right? There's fucking matter that's causing you to form in one way. Your matter, your atoms, your body is organized in these certain ways, and you're presenting in these certain ways. And that's just like a fact, right? But there are things that are tied into those constructs and stuff that are more gray area and are up for debate and are used pretty much always just as a rhetorical device in order to, you know, lump one group into, you know, be able to paint them out as some type of thing that they're not, or in order to just paint with broad strokes.
No, yeah, that's a good way of explaining it, because, I mean, you know, this might be considered a dodge too, what I'm saying, but like, it's what I say about COVID and climate change. It's real. They're real. It's happening. It's real. Race and gender is fucking real. Obviously, it's real. There's material implications. All what the thing is that I'm saying, which you're kind of like, you're saying it is basically like the loaded aspect of it. These things are loaded. Like, they've piled on so much shit into it that whatever realness is there to it that's concrete has so much fucking shit on top of it. Of just psyops and bullshit that, like, it's enough for me to just say, that shit isn't real. I can just say COVID's not real because, you know, because of that massive mountain of fucking bullshit on top of it, on top of the inch or speck that is real. Mm-hmm. So, so that's what I think of the race gender thing. Obviously, it's real. I mean, people come to me and they're like, these Wignats come to me and they're like, bro, you don't think it's real? I thought you were, you know, material, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, man, I know it's fucking real. Obviously, it's fucking pigments and shit and fucking vitamin D sensitivity. Of course, it's fucking real. I'm just saying, like, again, like I said, survey people in the country. Ask people what they think of race or how to define these things or gender. You get a million fucking different answers. It is crazy making. It's insane. Yeah. And that's why it's the most powerful fucking tool for fucking psyops and culture war. It's the perfect thing. It's endless. It never ends.
Yeah, it's like, you know, race is very real. One's ethnicity is real, but like terms and identifiers and racial categories such as white, black, or not Hispanic, you know, or Hispanic, like those kind of things are on any government forms or whatever. Those aren't very useful at all for actually representing the person who's answering or who's falling in whatever category. Because like you're saying, white could be any number of things. Some people might think that Mediterranean people aren't white, or that they are white, or, you know, whatever. So these concepts as a whole, they mean nothing essentially, but simultaneously mean everything whenever someone wants them to mean that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think like one thing too is just like, I think like over essentializing people is bad for reasons that are probably pretty obvious, that we see around us all the time. At the same time, and this is something that, to be honest, I think I might have stronger feelings about right now. I'm like really just not a fan of the concept of the blank slate. I really don't like it. I think that the way in which it like serves global capital is probably pretty obvious. And like I would rather have a more enlightened society that like tries to form my environment around me and my nature rather than the opposite. I think the opposite is really very like inhumane. And I think that all the evidence of the fact that that's exactly what our future is shaping up to be going in the direction of is pretty obvious. The blank slate is a really misguided way of thinking of people, and it leads to the bugman shit, you know? Yeah. And so I don't know, maybe I do kind of have like kind of the hedging, making everybody annoyed answer by saying like, well, it's extremes of both examples. But the way I see it now, like I do think that Western society is pretty fucking obsessed with the blank slate.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Like liberalism really sets people up to just being like, oh man, like this non-negotiable group identity that I was born into is like a form of like coercion, of oppression that is unfair. It's like, well, that's like your ideology eating reality. Yes. And like that's the line where you can probably safely be like, well, this is bad.
Well, and if you're a blank slate completely, right, and you're just, whatever your environment forms you to be, and you have no essence, no vital essence to begin with, you have no base, anything, well, then you could theoretically make yourself into whatever you want to through the addition and consumption of various products that can be marketed and sold to you, right? So it's like, well, that's how it's functional. Like you're talking about for capital is, oh yeah, if you're a blank slate, then yeah, if you just buy whatever the fucking shit you want in order to make yourself into the thing that you want to be, then your blank slate can be something completely different because you're a blank slate after all. So just build something new on top of it because you just got a drawing board to start from. Whereas like in reality, no, right? We are people. We have physical bodies. We have spiritual essences. We have, a vital essence that needs to be nurtured and recognized, and it shouldn't just be ignored and shunned away in preference of consumer goods or various identities that we tie to consumer goods or that we pursue through the consumption of these goods.
I could not have said it better myself.
Yeah. I mean, when I say these things are constructs, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it like that, but I don't mean that people are blank slates. I mean, I don't believe in free will. So I'm pretty much convinced that everybody's like kind of chained to their circumstances and their genes and causality and all that.
Well, I think,
I'm just saying specifically that the notion, I guess I have to be very specific, like the idea of race and gender specifically in America is fucking batshit. Is fucking a prism, like a mind prism, just like, refracting in a million different ways. Just specifically that, not like you're being entire. You're not in your entire being. You know what I mean? I don't mean that you're like a complete blank slate. I just think that those things in particular are fucking, specifically race is fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. But what were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say also like the whole thing of like these things are based on like external, stimuli from environment, right? Like having like an essentialist view of like this is in your genetics, this is in your nature, like doesn't preclude it from being based in environmental effects.
Of course,
if you adjust your window of time, you get what I'm saying. Like
that's dialectical right there, Slav.
Hey, there we go, dude. Let's fucking go. People that genetically can't process dairy as well as, maybe, me and all my white glory. Right. That really has a lot more to do with like, how close to the fucking equator your ancestors lived and shit like that. Right.
So it is environmental, very much so.
Well, it always is at a certain point. Right. And so I don't know, maybe I'm straw manning and no one would even argue with what I'm saying. But like, it's just one of these things that like you can't really entirely have one without the other.
Yes. They both feed into each other, like always, and they both interact with each other. They inform each other, and they go from there. You know what I mean? It's like you can't have an environment without the things living in it, and you can't have the things living in it without the environment that they live in. And the things can't live within the environment without infecting the environment that they fucking live in, because they're moving around, they're consuming shit, they're doing whatever. It's like it's always going to be a feedback loop, and people just kind of think that it's one way or another, kind of like, oh, we're fucking up this planet, or, oh, this planet kind of like is, shaping us into this thing. And it's not like, oh, well, really, like the way that you're born is with a certain essence, but your material environment around you is going to shape you from that point forward. But also your certain essence that you were born with genetically and through your parents' experiences and such that are passed down. Well, that comes from an environment as well, because they experienced all that in an environment. And so like just trying to separate one from the other is just fucking liberalism ultimately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well said.
Yeah. I think I just say that I think there's a difference between a blank slate and being chained by the loaded thing is like where people will be like, because you're white or because you're black or because you're a man or because you're a woman, I know exactly what you're going to do. Yeah. You're like predictable. I can mark you on a graph of all this. I just don't believe that shit. I think there's a big difference between that and saying we're blank slates. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's a lot in between there.
Well, one issue that I have
the middling thing, but like
I'll concede though that like statistically all of those things are I'm not even doing a meme, right? Sorry. I'm saying like statistically those things are like have a lot of predictive power. A lot, right? But at the same time, having said that, like I don't like statistics brain. It's a lot like technocrat brain, and I don't like that kind of shit, dude. And if I meet some random black dude, and it's like, oh, all right, like you're either gonna be fucking DNC brain, or you're gonna be like fucking louder with Crowder, fucking token based black, and like those are the two flavors you can have. Like that sucks, right? I don't want to look at the world that way, right? No, of course not. Having said that, there's a little bit of truth to it, right? Like, of course, like, you go onto fucking Tinder, right? And like, there's like a huge amount of fucking women on there that are just like doing discipline for the DNC, and like you can predict that shit because they're fucking women, and like and like there's something to that.
No, you're right.
And like how I usually characterize this, like I was talking to my buddy about it the other day, is like honestly, like I think that this is a really fucking hard time that we're living through to be a woman, just not in the reasons that they say, like I don't, dude, I'm kind of blessed as just like a straight white dude to just basically be constantly browbeat by the ruling regime, because me and like quite a few other people of a similar background that I know IRL, it kind of just, you find after a certain point that it's like, oh, it's kind of easy when you're just, having people just constantly talk shit directly to your face to just be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to check out and be done with it now. Right.
All right.
And the last couple of years have been a lot easier for me because of that. Now imagine, being a fucking, a woman constantly on Instagram, having sweet nothings by the state ideology whispered into your ear constantly. And the last 2 years have been like nothing but a ceaseless fucking nightmare. I mean, this is why one of those things of like, look at how like the voting, like Ben was saying, dude, the voting difference between women that are married and women that have children versus, single women and shit like that. Right. Like the PSYOP doesn't work on them, and it becomes this night and day difference, dude. I really am not envious at all of women right now, and not because of any deranged patriarchy shit or anything like that, but because like they are 100% being instrumentalized by the state pretty much constantly, and that sounds exhausting.
No, I agree because yeah, you're right. Like what you were saying, like men, we can go our own way. You know, we can take the you know what I mean? Let's go. We can take the autism pill and just be like, oh, this is the new social milieu. Yeah, this is exactly.
Fed posters going their own way.
Yeah. You're like, oh, this is the social milieu now? Oh, yeah, whatever the fuck. I guess I won't be part of that anymore. You know what I mean? You can sort of just do that, the checking out thing, like you said. But for them, they can't do that. Women cannot do that. Well, some do, but, you know, they're socially more wired than we are. So that's why if we're in PsyOp Central, they get it fresh. They get it, you know, 1 day delivery, you know what I mean? They get it straight to the brain and they disseminate it out. And, you know, it's not really their fault. It's just the way the thing works. But yeah, I do feel bad for them, honestly. I feel like, especially being on Twitter, I kind of hate that I see how women think. I made that one shit post about like, I'm not supposed to be in your fucking head. Like, I'm not, these are supposed to be private thoughts or like, just between women. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've seen shit where I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. I can't believe you guys think like this. And it seems fucking painful. It seems fucking anguishing. I mean, like, there's like what? Record teen suicides and all this shit. Yeah, I mean, COVID obviously and all that, but like, we all know there's other reasons to that, like social media pressure and like Instagram life shit and all the weird shit that they're like obsessed with and like depressed over with their self-esteem. Like, that shit is fucking bleak. That shit is fucking bleak, and they get it rough. They get it rough. The feminoids do. But
oh my god, dude, they work themselves into a fucking tizzy, dude.
Jeez. Yeah.
I don't really envy anyone. I think a lot of people. I think it's hard to be, you know, a lot of different types of people right now across the board.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. No, everybody's getting. I mean, I believe that everybody's getting it in the ass, and we're basically in a race to the bottom to see who gets fucked harder and faster. It's basically what the competition is, the oppression Olympics and all that. But yeah. But you gotta go, right? Yeah.
I gotta bounce, fellas. Nice growling at me.
All right, that was part 1 of our episode. If you'd like to listen to part 2, you can find that at patreon.com/fedpost. Thanks for listening.